The touring cars of TC America, powered by the Skip Barber Racing School, began their season yesterday here at the tight, technical Sonoma Raceway. Defending TCX champion Jacob Rude picked up right where he left off in 2021, claiming a dominant victory at the top of the overall order. TC and TCA saw Kevin Boehm and Carter Fartuck launch their own championship bids as well with wins, and we're here ready to go for race 2 of the weekend in picturesque Northern California. Hello and welcome. My name is Ryan Marine. I've got Calvin Fish sitting alongside in the broadcast booth. Amanda Busick patrolling the pit lane for us. 3 classes of cars, TCX, TC, and TCA make up this fantastic TC America powered by the Skip Barber Racing School Championship.
Yeah, and we had a wonderful opening stanza there for our defending champ, Jacob Rude. Well, he won 10 races last year, but that man on the second row, Stephen Cugliari, when he showed up last year, gave him a hard time. Well, what did Jacob do? He went and addressed that immediately last year to say, I'm the boss. Big win yesterday, beating him to the line.
Big growth in the TCX class that promises to give some challenge to Jacob Rude. That'll be a storyline throughout the year, but he answered all the questions yesterday.
He really did. I think it was a dominant performance by him.
Down on the grid, Amanda is standing by with an update.
Well, you guys will remember when we talked to Jacob Rude in his winner's interview, he even said that Stephen Cugliari is the one that can hold him accountable here, and his team did confirm he is going to race the full season, so I'm assuming we're going to see a lot of this year, guys. I was just talking to Clay Williams. He's going to lead that TC class in the Mini. Ryan, I know you mentioned that there was issues with that car yesterday going into limp mode. He does feel that that's going to be okay in the race today. His plan for today is just staying in the position he's in, which is at the right top of the grid, and surviving that is getting through turn 1 for him. So we'll see if that Mini stays up to the top of the pack, but focusing on that fastest lap yesterday is what he said made that happen.
Thanks, Amanda. Exactly so. That's so crucial in these races where there is one qualifying session to set the grid for race 1, but the grid for race 2 comes from the fastest lap in race 1, and Williams, despite the fact he had that issue on the first lap, the car goes into limp mode. He had to recycle the electronics, but to do that, he had to drop below 30 miles per hour.
Right.
So he dropped way to the back, but came blasting back through the field, ultimately had a good result and secured the pole.
He did. Maintained his composure. Here we're looking at Steve Strymer, who had the pole yesterday. He didn't have the best of starts, but ultimately finished just off the podium in 4th spots. We'll try and look to go at least one step better here today. But I think for Clay Williams from the pole, the big competition is going to come from his flank there. That's Kevin Boehm in that CrowdStrike Racing entry with Skip Barber Racing. Dominant run there yesterday. That looked like the Kevin Boehm of old. He had some issues last year, some technical issues that really hampered his progress. But now he's been put into more of an engineering role within that Skip Barber organization. He's actually got mechanics who are helping him out now, doing the nuts and bolts. And I think that's freed his headspace a little bit to really focus forward. And he had a great run yesterday. Admittedly, about a tenth slower than Clay Williams. So they were very tight in terms of lap time. Let's see who's got the racecraft and the execution here today.
Matt Pombo and Mike Lamara make up row number 2 on the grid for the LA Honda World team, which is running as an independent organization this year for the first time. In the TCA class, Ken Fukuda starting 5th, Jeff Rica alongside to the left. Walking a little bit further back, and you find Nicholas Barbato. Keep an eye on him and that Hyundai from the Gym Racer team. He had a good, strong finish to the race yesterday. After him alongside, then Ruben Iglesias and Joey Jordan racing with a heavy heart here in remembrance of his father, Joe, who was a big part of the TC America community, had the TC America podcast. He was part of the broadcast for the Sirius XM stream and joined us on the live broadcast here last year. We miss you, Joe. Joey had some mechanical issues yesterday, but the car has come a long way, Calvin. This is a development project for this team and this Mazda 3.
It really is, and it was a long, hard road last year, and they've made gains. It's all down to the electronics, really just taken some of the safety precautions that are built into a street car off that car. They're still working hard to try and get the ABS to be working more efficiently, and I think they've actually disconnected it at the moment in terms of races for that car, so that's certainly a bit of a compromise in terms of the performance. He can't go on the attack like some of the other cars.
Starting grid, Jacob Rude on the pole, the race winner and defending TCX champion. Lucas Catania, who ran just one race last year, but showed some pace there at Watkins Glen. He'll start 2nd. Stephen Cugliari, keep an eye on him starting on the inside of the front of the second row. Garrett Adams to his flank. Colin Garrett and Steve Strymer in row 3. Mark Wilgus, Olivia Askew there in row 4 of the TCX field. And Joseph Catania, one of 2 Catanias in the field this weekend, will start shotgun on the TCX field. To the TC class, and Clay Williams as chronicled on pole, but Kevin Bohm, very similar lap times yesterday. It was just fractions of a second between the two of them. A great front row. Then the 2 LA Honda World cars of Pombo and Lamara. Ken Fukuda from the Skip Barber Racing School team will have Jeff Ricca from Gin Racer next to him. He had mechanical issues in race 1 yesterday. Nicholas Barbato in the sister car will start 19th with Matthew Ibrahim 20th overall. Robin Iglesias and Joey Jordan and Chris Valdez rounding out the rest of the TC field. To the TCA class, a little less power, less downforce on the TCA cars. Carter Fartuck gave the brand new Honda Civic SI, Gen 11 I think it is, a win on debut. Great job by him. He'll have the debutant Gresham Wagner starting alongside. Another newcomer, Spencer Bucknam of the famed Bucknam Racing family, will start 3rd. Devin Anderson from Tech Sport 4th. Christian Pericarpi in one of the minis will be 5th. Sally McNulty 6th. PJ Gronke, another mini, and Xiaoyi Che will start just behind in 7th and 8th. Then Brandon Tyner and Colin Harrison in the final row of the grid. A great field of touring cars, great diversity between the classes. Front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, lots of different engine displacements. It's a cool class of race car, no matter what you're talking about, whether it's TCX, TC, or TCA.
Yeah, just a real melting pot with the manufacturers, and certainly the TCX classes at the moment dominated by that BMW. We're anticipating maybe some other manufacturers joining the fray. It was his debut season last year, very popular, more cars on the grid this year. And I think the standard is being elevated, and certainly some great teams that are involved in that championship chase at the moment.
Great field of cars, though, no question about that. Jacob Rude, well, announced his return to the championship in a big way. Totally dominated race 1 yesterday. We'll see if he can repeat that feat. Some good cars a little further back in the pack, though, in TC. I think the 2 Hyundais could be ones to watch, with Barbato and Ricca starting 6th and 7th.
Yeah, I mean, those cars are always quick, it seems, and I love Jeff Ricca and his operation. I mean, he's not a one-man band, but he's a relatively small team. I've got the affiliation with Hyundai, and I like to see that he's really progressing in building his team. But didn't have the best of days yesterday, but it's early stages with that car in the development process as well.
And some newcomers making waves early in TCA. This is a class for the up-and-comers, and you got the likes of Gresham Wagner, who needs no introduction if you followed MX5 Cup over the last couple of years, and then Spencer Bucknam, the last name needs no introduction. They both were really strong yesterday. Throw into the mix some that we saw last year, but only for a limited amount of time. Devin Anderson, a race winner a year ago. Christian Pericarpi, who finished on the podium several times in limited appearances. There's a lot of talent in this TCA field.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting to see that young talent nurture itself over this season. They'll have learned a lot yesterday, kind of getting over the first race jitters, and maybe they can be a little bit more efficient with their performance here today. Side by side here, you're going to think that Cugliari is going to try and make a move there from the second row on the climb up through the hill.
Yep, that is the car second in line on the right of the screen. Keep a close eye on that BMW. He is quick, and at one point was chasing down Jacob Rude in race 1 yesterday. Then Rude responded and put to bed any doubt about the outcome of that race. Here comes the field through the hairpin of turn 11. Now just the left-hand bend of turn 12 to go before the green flag is displayed by Tom Hansing. To the VP Fuels acceleration zone, waiting for the flag, and there it flies. Jacob Rude, a great start. Cugliari did not get one. He drops back and might actually lose that third spot. Side by side for third. Now Cugliari comes out in front, and the fight is on for fourth.
He's wide. He's off the road. Just took it in too deep there on cold tires. Gets off the road, manages to recover. A slight touch there when he came back on the racetrack. Here's the TC start.
Came back on track just in front of Garrett Adams, who had to check up. TC start coming up the hill, side by side for the lead. Boom to the inside now through 2.
Gets that move there for Fukuda may have had a good start as well.
Here we go. The TCA cars off and running. Carter Fartuk from the pole consolidates that advantage, but he's got Gresham Wagner right behind. Big twitch and maybe some contact there in the fight for third.
Yeah, that was wild there. Great bit of car control there by young Bucknam.
Christian Pericarpi, opportunistic. He's up a spot. Now runs fourth in the bright yellow Mini, but back to the front of the field. Kevin Bohm gets the jump from the outside of the front row. He leads overall. Here's the scrap, though, for third, fourth, fifth, and sixth.
Great start there from Fukuda from the third row of the grid. He's now up to third. He's got this opportunity with this team. This is a young man. Well, he's not young anymore, but he's really been dedicated to racing for about 20 years, but finally getting a true pro opportunity. He's supported by the Skip Barber Racing organization, but side by side here with the 37 machine. That's Matt Pombo through turn 7.
He's got his hands full, does Fukuda, with the veteran Pombo. He's been at this game for quite a while, and he knows these Honda Civics really well. Pombo grabs the spot. Fukuda on the back foot, now coming under attack from one of the Gin Racer cars. I think that's Jeff Ricca.
It is, and suddenly he's been demoted, so he went really aggressive on the opening lap. Now he's having to sort of settle back in, find his line, find his rhythm.
Mike Lamara able to find his way through, but he slides off track. Slight contact with the outside retaining wall, but he will rejoin.
Big twitch here, even though we've got relatively mild conditions, again, getting these tyres up to temperature. He's trying to get to pit lane, possibly. He was fighting there. That car is broken, I believe.
Oh, it does not look comfortable at all.
Just trying to figure out and even around if that car is indeed damaged.
Nicholas Barbato stuck behind. That's the mostly purple Gin Racer Hyundai that you see. He's trying to plot a course pass, but I don't think he knows what to expect from the car in front of him, the way it wiggles around.
Well, sometimes when you got dirt on the tires, it can almost give the impression that the car is damaged. So I think that's what Mike Lamar is trying to sort out. Is the car damaged, or have I just got to get these tires cleaned off? And meanwhile, up front, boom, excellent start there. Slid it to the inside on the approach to turn 2. But now he's going to have Clay Williams, who was the fastest driver here yesterday, hot on his heels.
Rude continues to lead overall by 1 second over Lucas Catania. Garrett now runs third. Cugliari has dropped to fourth, and it's the pole sitter from yesterday, Steve Strymer, in fifth. This is the TCA field here with Christian Pericarpi on the screen in one of 3 minis entered this weekend, 2 in the TCA class. And he, right now, has had a pretty good start, all things considered. Able to pick up a spot opportunistically early on.
Yeah, running in that 5th position, finished 4th here yesterday. Side-by-side action. This is for the lead, coming through turn 6.
Gresham Wagner in the Subaru from the Tech Sport team. The Skip Barber Racing School Honda to his flank. Here they come into the braking zone. Turn number 7, Wagner trying to take the top spot away.
Oh, super loose there going through turn 7. Get it settled back down again. So Carter Fartuk is willing to give up that lead right now, settle back in, and a long way to go. Still 36 minutes on the board. Big, big battle, though, for the TCA lead.
Now move the reigning MX5 Cup champion to the top of the TCA leaderboard. Great move from young Gresham Wagner. Talked about it some yesterday, had some medical issues that derailed his racing career for a time. A big surgery and a lengthy hospital stay as a result, but he's bounced back and had a ton of success, but now he's off the pace. Just as we sing his praises, something seems amiss with the Tech Sport Subaru. This is what happened.
Yeah, just too much speed there through turn 9. Had to control it, arrest that speed, often in the dirt, just trying to regroup a little bit. Lost a couple of spots there. Bucknam now up to 2nd.
And his Tech Sport teammate, Devin Anderson, also able to pounce. So that will demote him 3 positions. And now he'll need to try and recover. Here comes Gresham Wagner taking a peek to the inside of Anderson down the pit straight. And here side by side in the TCX field.
Well, we've got battles all over the shop right now. This is awesome stuff. I think everyone had their Wheaties this morning and are up on the wheel.
Garrett trying to fend off Cugliari for the final podium spot. Cugliari late on the brakes, takes the lunge to the inside. He'll pull up alongside and complete the pass.
With the damage to the front splitter, though, I'm not sure how much that's hurting the downforce on that car. That piece doesn't break off underneath the front tires when he's going through a corner.
Lucas Catania just set the CrowdStrike fastest lap of the race. He is keeping pace with Jacob Rude, less than a second behind. That's just in front of this triumvirate of BMW drivers.
Jacob Rude has realized he's got a number of competitors there who are up to the task of giving him a hard time for these wins.
It's only been 5.5 minutes, but we've seen a lot in this opening stage of round 2 of the weekend for TC America, powered by the Skip Barber Racing School. Jacob Ruud, Lucas Catania, 1-2 overall. Then Cugliari leading this freight train. He's 3rd. Garrett and Strymer 4th and 5th.
It's been its own highlight reel in the first 5 minutes here, so let's see how things settle in here. Cugliari, curious to know if that damage is affecting the handling on that car. He's trying to regroup here, got a long way to go because Catania and Ruud have scampered off to about a 5-second margin here with the 2 leaders well down the road.
Now we fall back to TC, where Kevin Boehm leads but is being hounded by the pole sitter, Clay Williams.
This is going to be an interesting battle. I think Kevin Boehm's going to have to use every inch of his experience and racecraft here to keep Williams behind him. That Mini is certainly strong around this circuit, got some key areas where it really seems to have an advantage. Obviously, all of these different manufacturers have different transmission and ratios, so there'll be a sweet spot for one in a certain sector of the racetrack and vice versa. So we'll see an ebb and flow to this performance here.
You'll see the Donate Life logo on the side of that Mini. And Clay Williams, his mother, has been going through some health issues, and this is a cause very close to their hearts. And they urge you to consider being an organ donor. It can and does help to save lives.
Good one there, looking pretty measured. He really has excellent racecraft. He'll be trying to look after his tires a little bit.
Now, Clay Williams is based on the West Coast. He says he knows this track pretty well. Kevin Boehm's from Ohio, but he has a lot of laps here too, not just in TC America competition, but also in the SCCA runoffs, where he won a national championship. More on that in a moment. For now, this is TCA, and the swap of the top spot. Carter Fartuck is actually, I guess, not a swap, but rather we see Fartuck now trying to defend because Wagner has run him back down.
Yeah, Wagner dropped to 4th and suddenly he's back to 2nd, putting the pressure on for the lead. So Fartuck probably thought, well, I'm off and away here, but guess what? Wagner has got tremendous pace.
Fartuck had a fairly commanding race yesterday. It seemed like he had the measure of the field, but all credit to the Tech Sport team. They went back to the drawing board, and whatever changes they made overnight appear to be working. Gresham Wagner is flying.
Yeah, he really is. That car is really carving through that chicane nicely. Seems like that Honda escapes a little bit there on acceleration off of the corner. Bucknam there sitting in that 3rd position. Another great run for him.
Wagner, another one of those drivers that contested the runoffs when they were held here in 2018. Effectively America's Road Racing Amateur National Championship. And he finished 2nd in the T4 class as well in that year in a Mazda. Here's a Mazda here. Joey Jordan driving. And Joey right now finds himself 6th in class, but trying to fend off the hard-charging Nicolas Barbano.
He does, but great to see that car running well. See him fighting the front end. You can see that little bit of yellow tape on the wheel. You can see him really working the wheel hard to get the car to bite and turn through that corner. Excellent line there. Right out to the dust in the gray area. Maximizing the radius coming through that corner. Great little battle. He'll be enjoying this one.
Got to imagine a big smile on the face of the Jordan family to see this car running well, to see Joey running so well. It was such an emotional moment yesterday when a dozen or so members of the Jordan family were here to give the command to start engines after Joe Jordan passed away over the weekend. Great battle here for the lead. It's Carter Fartuck and Gresham Wagner going side by side into turn 7. Wagner floating the outside, trying to make the cushion work.
Yeah, Carter was up to that, though. He just sort of like washed out just enough, not to be dirty, but just to sort of like say, you're not going to make that move happen just yet. We'll see what happens later in the run.
Gives Carter that little bit of breathing room, and since that's the case, let's get an update on Carter Fartuck from Amanda.
You were talking about the commanding lead that he had yesterday. It was a 7.6 second lead that got Carter the win. In Carter's day job, though, he is an instructor with the Skip Barber Racing School. I actually snuck down and took a 3-day Formula 4 course with them earlier this year down at COTA. And what I really loved about getting to know Carter is that you can tell that this passion of racing for him is not just on track. He loves the gift of giving this gift forward. So to spend 3 days with Carter off track as an instructor, not that you have a rooting interest in these things, guys. We keep pretty biased, but it's really neat to see him starting off strong this year after a third place finish last year.
And Amanda, I talked to Carter about that too. He said you weren't afraid of anything.
Did a road course experience at Road Atlanta. It was a women's day at the track with Christina Nelson 3 years ago, and I worked alongside a lady at Michelin named Sarah Robinson, and she described my driving style as a golden retriever. So I don't know what to take from that, but I guess a lot of zest in myself.
Have you ever been compared to a golden retriever, Calvin?
I don't think I have. Been called a lot of names, but not a golden retriever.
Well, Carter was impressed. He was very clear about that when I talked to him earlier in the weekend. So you did something right there, Amanda. Overall corner speeds at turn 7. Jacob Rude and Chris Valdez, the quickest through corner 7, which is the rather tight corner at the end of the drag strip. 55.3 miles per hour. Doesn't sound like much, but that's a tough turn.
It is. It's one of the low-speed corners on this racetrack, and it's all about getting the power. Traction off is really a key, particularly late in the run. So you have to look after the tires a little bit. Rear-wheel drive, all of these BMWs, of course. So it's the rear tires you're trying to protect. In the other classes, a lot of front-wheel drive machinery too, which you're asking a lot of when you're asking those front tires to accelerate and turn with the same end.
What was interesting is that truly was an overall list of speeds. We saw cars from all 3 classes listed there. And goes to show no one's making much downforce when you're going that slow. There's not a huge performance difference between the 3 classes.
Now, it's all about mechanical grip, really, when you get to those low speeds, of course, and horsepower isn't a factor. It's all about just how well the car's handling. As we suspected, this battle is going to be tight all the way, I think. Boom, there is a gap. Clay Williams by about 2 to 3 car lengths, but Williams certainly hanging tough. Long way to go.
Joey Jordan has slipped back a couple of spots. Barbado did get by. Ruben Iglesias did as well. And now he's got Mike Lamara looking to make a move on in 2. This right now is the fight for 8th in the TC class. And yeah, you can see that yellow strip on the steering wheel gives you an idea of just how busy Joey Jordan is as it flashes back and forth.
Look how he executes that corner. That was just perfect every single time. So the boy has a lot of talent. That was a change in the lead. TCA has changed.
Gresham Wagner back to the point, getting around Carter Fartuck in that brand new Honda Civic SI. The only version of that car currently racing globally. That'll be the case all year long, he told me. And Gresham Wagner, undaunted. He had this move made earlier and then had the off. This is how he got it done, Calvin.
Down into turn 4, deep to the inside. Side by side through the apex. But boy, was he attacking the carousel when we saw that latest shot. Just really aggressive there on the entry, and that car is hooked up, tires are biting.
Tech Sport team is going to love that. Kevin Anderson's bunch, based out at VIR, will be racing on their home turf here shortly. They've developed this new Subaru. They've been working on this for the past couple of years. They raced the Toyota 86s last year, but long-time Subaru affiliation, and they make the switch back with these new cars.
Got to be loving this fresh equipment. Wagner kid is talented. I could not believe how he was able to attack that carousel turn. Just turned in with tremendous speed, then took another big double apex bite at it.
Far behind is where you'll find Matt Palmo running in 3rd. And he's been running good lap times comparable to the top 2. So Carter Fartuck by no means has consolidated that 2nd position at this stage. Still 25 minutes to go. At what point do these drivers start to notice the tire degradation we've been talking about? This Sonoma track so high on tire wear given the age of the track surface.
Yeah, I'd say about 10-15 minutes to go. That's going to give you a little bit of an indicator, and if it happens later than that, then typically you just hang on. I don't think they fall off a cliff, so to speak. Just a gradual change in balance. But I think Kevin Boehm has enough experience that he's not overdriving his car. He's just trying to keep Clay Williams at a safe distance. And that couple of car lengths allows him to just execute, run when you're compromising the line to defend, it also puts a lot more load on those front tires because you're coming in at a more severe angle. Ultimately, at apex, if you're trying to defend that inside line, by getting that breathing room allows you to take the wide entry to the corners, and that should aid in sort of managing the tires a little bit.
Apologies, I misspoke. It's actually Spencer Buckman who's starting to catch the top two in TCA, and here you can see Matt Pombo starting to run down the top two in TC. So Pombo very much on it at the moment, and if a battle were to break out between Bohm and Williams, he is close enough he might just be able to capitalize.
Yeah, didn't do it on the last lap. He actually fell away a little bit further, but prior to that, his best lap of the day is half a second quicker than the two front runners. So you'd have to think there's a bit of management going on up front.
Back to the tire management aspect of this. Is that compounded for these front-wheel drive cars? Because you're asking those tires to both turn and accelerate, right?
Yeah, for sure. With the BMWs, for example, in the TCX class, front tires are just doing that, turning. They're not putting the power to the ground, whether these front-wheel drive cars like this Honda, like this Mini, you're asking a lot more from those front tires.
There is a mix of platforms, especially TCA. Handful of rear-wheel drive cars. You got the rear-wheel drive TCX machines as well. But then the front-wheel drive Mini, front-wheel drive Honda. I believe the Hyundai is too. One of the interesting things about TC America, it's especially in the TCA class, a last bastion almost for some of these homegrown, developed cars, you know, built out of the garage or something like that. Even still, we're starting to see more of these customer cars like we see here in TCX, and even some of the TC and TCA cars now are those pure customer cars, but there is still a spot in the motorsports landscape for the home tuner.
There is, but I think when you get to this TCX level, I think it's great to have a turnkey platform like BMW provided. This M2 has been so popular, it's sold literally reams of them around the world, and I think that, you know, you get to that level, building a bespoke car is more costly than going to a manufacturer and having a turnkey opportunity.
So something went wrong with the number 2 TCX car. That is Joseph Catania. He's dropped down a little bit. In fact, inside the TCA field on that last, or TC field rather, in that last lap. His family member, Lucas Catania, still running second, 2.7 seconds off the lead, but does have the CrowdStrike fastest lap of the race so far. And a little further back in TCX is where you find this battle. Running fourth, Garrett, then fifth is Strymer, and then sixth is Adams. And they're all right here in this camera shot.
Yeah, great little battle, just showing how much this class has progressed. The fact that Steve Strymer, one of the leaders in this championship last year, battling hard to stay in the top 5 right now. So it's definitely a championship that's got a little bit stronger over the last 12 months. Debuted last year with great success, but it's getting stronger and stronger. Tougher to get on the podium these days.
This fight's about to encounter some TC traffic. PJ Gronke in one of the mini JCW team minis, the Canadian, who is back driving an orange Mini. Now, he's never done that before in this championship, but his first pro win, Calvin, came in Canada, where he's from, racing an orange Mini. So he feels right back at home.
Yeah, that's cool. Back to his roots, so to speak. And I think it's a great opportunity for him. He's been super frustrated, has a ton of support. He does it a different way, as opposed to having 1 or 2 sort of big supporters. He embraces, just give me a little and I'll make it go a long way. So a ton of support on that car.
And his commitment to the travel the last few years. So many Canadian-based drivers opted to sit it out because of the headache of the border crossings during the height of the pandemic, and PJ found a way to make it work, always with a smile on his face, and then he had to run right back home and go right back to the office as soon as he returned. But that's how much he loves his motorsport. Great fights throughout this field. Back to the front of the TC field with Kevin Bohm still managing to keep Clay Williams at bay, but this thing has been nip and tuck for 20 minutes.
It really has. It seems like they've gapped Pombo a little bit, so it's really between these two at this stage of the game. So there's a broken bracket, but on tails away, you can see though that exhaust pipe on the lead car of Bohm kind of rocking and rolling there through some of the bumps around this circuit.
I'll say this, I've noticed that on a few of the Civics this weekend. I mean, even there, Ken Fukuda, you could see it.
Maybe it's like a tree. It needs to move a little bit, otherwise it's going to snap.
Fukuda here having a really nice run, as he did yesterday. He's 5th at the moment. Nicholas Barbato, driver who was so impressive a year ago. He qualified on pole in his first ever pro race at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and had podium finishes in both starts. Right now, trying to take away that 5th spot from Ken Fukuda.
I had a chance to chat with Ken this morning, and he filled me in a little bit about his history. Just one of those guys who lives and breathes motorsport, slept on a number of sofas, worked 3 jobs a week, 100 hours, just to try and gain enough money to get to the racetrack, to chase his dream. Moved to Germany to race at the Nürburgring, went to Japan to try and look for opportunities there. And then for the last couple of years, he's been working with the Skip Barber organization, and they could see his talent, could see his speed, and they're supporting him this year. So it's a really cool story.
Amanda, what are you hearing in the pits?
Well, you guys were talking about tire management as we get to this last part of this race. I was talking to the Skip Barber team of Kevin Bohm. The team manager, Adam Roberts, was telling me about the tires. I simply asked, when do you start noticing the need to look after these tires? And he jokingly laughed and said, after lap number 2. But in seriousness, as we get to 15 minutes left in this race, as we sneak down towards that, he said that the driving style is simply going to have to change as we look to save these tires on what you guys have been already mentioning here today, a track that is just known for tire deck.
Well, tire management is like fuel saving. It's like an engineer coming on with 3 laps to go and save a bunch of fuel. It's too late. Right. You know what I mean? With tire management, it started immediately. We talked about it. Kevin Bohm managing this race, keeping Clay Williams at bay, but not abusing his tires. Then we saw Pombo start to come back at the leaders. Now he's dropped off a bit, so maybe Pombo has used his tires up like never before.
The difference is, with fuel, you've got a gauge, and the team can see the telemetry. With the tires, it's all feel in the seat of your pants, right?
It is. Some of it will come down to your starting tire pressures. You can put them up a little bit to start the race, give you more energy, more performance early, then they can peak and fall off that crest. So there's just a lot that goes into it. They had the race yesterday to get a gauge with that front. That's what you do on these double-header weekends. It's like learning from yesterday. What did we do yesterday? When did we go on the attack? Was it too early? Can we just move that sweet spot up a little bit? And or make it a little bit later in the race before we really charge hard.
Back to TCX battle. What a good one it is. And now it looks like it's Steve Strymer who's starting to attack, and the man he is pressuring is Colin Garrett, 21 years old from Elmo, Virginia, short track ace. A lot of experience in South Boston Speedway. He's made some NASCAR appearances in the Xfinity and Truck Series, done some short track racing in Canada over the years, but found this Rooster Hall Racing team based there in Virginia, not too far away from where he's based, now trying the road racing thing.
Steve really loves his racing. He embraces going on the road. His wife is typically with him, and they just love it. They just love everything about it. Steve loves the driving, and he's won races. He's a race winner. He knows how to get it done. But he just really loves the whole aspect and the camaraderie within the paddock as well.
And that's Steve Strymer running the hard motorsport BMW, the second one in line. He's from Portland, Oregon. You know the famous Rose Cup races up there. He has won in his class there at the Rose Cup race before. Some Trans Am experience. He was the TA3 Rookie of the Year back in 2015. Got his racing start at the Ford Performance Racing School. Utah Motorsports campus. He's turned into a very good driver in TC America, powered by the Skip Barber Racing School.
He's looking threatening, isn't he? He's just holding it at bay right there, not too aggressive. Pretty respectful there. Didn't try to dive down the inside. They're doing a nice job of just seeing it and thinking, well, is he going to go? Is he not going to go? So, wanting to take each other out. But
here he comes, though, up the inside, and Garrett leaves the door open. Strymer late on the brakes. He's able to get it done. And now,
Adams.
Yep, exactly. So Garrett Adams now attacking, trying to find a way past.
Maybe thinking, well, you guys are pretty nice to each other. I'm not sure I'm going to be that nice. I can take advantage here. Dealing with traffic up through this sector, very, very difficult. What can Adams do with this? Can he time a run off of turn 2? Be careful when you run offline that you don't pick up those marbles and dirty up the tires so you don't have grip for the next corner. Peak of this racetrack, lots of elevation change. The highest point is right there in turn 3. You plunge down the hill. Be so careful that you don't overcharge the entry at that corner. So easy to line up that inside right front tire.
Either way past Sally McNulty in the TCA car. This is rather confusing. We've got a Colin Garrett and a Garrett Adams running together. It's going to be some mental gymnastics for us, I'm afraid, over the course of the season.
Sally McNulty having another strong run. Top 5 finish yesterday. I think that equals her best from last year. Had a couple top 5s, I believe, and running in 6th right now, so she'll keep digging. Got the support of the Victor Gonzalez racing team this year, running under that 10.
Jacob Ruud, though, continuing to control the pace from the front. He's got a lead of 3.5 seconds over this car. Lucas Catania having a nice, solid day. Does still have the CrowdStrike fastest lap of the race, but a 3.4 second deficit to the race leader Jacob Ruud.
Cagliari holds on to that 3rd position, but his fast lap is over a second off of Jacob Ruud's best. So I'm not sure if this is just a racetrack that Cagliari is not that familiar with and doesn't have the track knowledge, but he'll try and rebound here at the next event. See the damage to the front end when he had that little off early in the going.
Talked about Stephen Cagliari and the success he had in just 4 appearances last year. He won 3 of those races, finished 3rd in the other one.
Yeah, he used the thorn in Ruud's side, wasn't he? He really cut sort of like, I mean, such a dominant performance by Ruud all season long, taking 10 wins on the season. But when Cagliari showed up, sort of like took a little bit of the shine off, but Ruud has certainly addressed that here in the opening rounds of the championship for this year.
No doubt about it. Time Catania, who does have that fastest lap of the race, CrowdStrike fastest lap, didn't get any favors there from Carter Fartug. I think it's safe to say caused him to back out in turn 6. That's going to cost him somewhat in his pursuit of Jacob Ruud. Carter has dropped off of Gresham Wagner to the tune of 5.5 seconds. Wagner just pulling away.
He just seems to have a really strong car here today, Wagner does, and I think Fartug is thinking big picture already in this championship season. If the delta is so strong, it's like, why do I need to fight him? Let's just settle in and score some big points here. Another podium to add to the win yesterday would be a great start to his championship season.
And that's the goal for Carter. He had a good run last year, a great stretch in the middle of the season that put him in championship contention. Didn't have the finish to the year he would have hoped for, but he came back loaded for bear, and he knows this is the opportunity that he's been waiting for. One of those hard scramble guys who's been looking for the chance that can propel him to the next level. That's what the Skip Barber Racing School team has given him here this year with his new Honda Civic.
It really has, and 3 wins on the year, and as you said, in the thick of the championship battle. Didn't have a strong finish to the season for a variety of reasons, but comes back with a brand new race car, new opportunity, and he'll have learned a lot, and I think he's showcasing that here today. Don't get in that big battle if the other guy's just too strong for you. It's all about executing to your maximum performance on each day, and sometimes it's good enough for a win, sometimes it may be good enough for a 5th spot, but that's how you put a championship season together.
It's not been by much, but as we watch the TC battle for the lead with Bowman Williams, Bowman has built a little margin over the last few laps. Some lap traffic to deal with, and maybe that's had something to do with it. And Matt Pombo, he's the one running 3rd, and was earlier giving chase to Bowman Williams, but seems to have broken off that attack for the moment, simply consolidating a strong run to the podium.
It's Olivia Askew who's running the TCX class right behind Pombo in shot right now. Great to see her back for a full season campaign. Had some plans, then we had the COVID season, so didn't see a lot of her during 2020. So she's on full season this year. Moved away from her father's team, the DXDT team, and running with the guys out of Texas, so fast track racing. Good opportunity for her. I think Brian Sellers is still working with her as a coach. So she's getting a lot of great advice.
She's been quick when we've seen her in this championship, and I think she's done some testing of the GT3 car that Dan David has campaigns in Tech GT World Challenge America, powered by AWS. There's some thought that could be in her future down the road.
Oh, got a little bit of traffic between he and Williams.
Yep.
Looks to be comfortable. For 1 second gap is comfortable, I guess, but seems to be in control, let's put it that way.
Well, based on the way this race has played out so far, this is the most breathing room he's had. Clay Williams, who qualified on pole, let's remember, lost that lead at the start. Bohm made a great move around the outside in 1, which became the inside in 2, and was able to keep it there. Ultimately took the lead and has led from that moment forward, but Clayton Williams has not given it up easily.
Look at Wagner, how he's able to attack the carousel. Just really drives it in hard over the top, lets it wash out a little bit, then hits that second apex. Car is really working well. It's got to be a joy to drive out there on this circuit.
Native of Williamsburg, Virginia, driving for the Virginia-based Tech Sport Racing team. It's been a good match so far. This is the car running second, Carter Fartuck, a winner yesterday. And the championship bid began with an impressive performance. But any notion that he might walk away with it this year has been put to bed with performances from Gresham Wagner and some others in this TCA field. Spencer Bucknam also very impressive with limited tin top experience. In fact, I'm not sure he had any before yesterday.
He's got Ryan Eversley here working with he and the rest of the LA Honda World team, so Ryan's got so much experience in SRO competition, so great to have that guiding force behind you. Ryan's pretty excited about this young kid, Bucknam.
See Ryan drive for the LA Honda World team in the past, and I believe has a partial program for them this year elsewhere. Miss having Ryan in this championship.
He's a character, isn't he?
Yes.
Brings a lot to our sport in terms of his social media following, and just a big advocate for this form of racing.
Great to see him also get those chances to branch out and run some NASCAR races in recent years.
He's got that great opportunity with Rick Ware Racing in GT3 competition. Made his NASCAR Cup debut at Road America last year with that same team, and it's all about networking, and that's what Ryan is really exceptional at.
Down under 7 minutes to go, and the class lead in each of the 3 classes has settled out somewhat. Jacob Rude by nearly 7 seconds over Lucas Catania in TCX. TCA, Gresham Wagner by about 6 seconds over Carter Fartuck. This is the best battle for the lead that we have, and it's been raging all race long. Kevin Bohm still keeping Clay Williams at bay.
It's the 29 car of Olivia Askew.
Talked about her earlier. With limited appearances, 17 in total prior to this year across 2020 and 2021. There's a couple of podiums, though, to the finale. Last year at IMS, finished 3rd in both of those races. TCX. Now a look at the Gin Racer machine. 2 different Hyundai Velosters. This is Nicholas Barbato. This is the more traditional one. And then the team boss, Jeff Ricca, driving with a dual clutch version of this car. What does the dual clutch provide?
Well, I think just to make it more efficient, a little bit faster gear shifting and stuff, and you're just trying to keep the engine up on song a little bit more. So they're going through that development process. I think Jeff Ricca's willing to take hate to call it a risk, but just go through maybe something that's a bit of a gamble, which is not yet proven, but they're just trying to force their game forward and make it more competitive within this class.
He's been quick right now. Nicholas Barbato, that is, starting to make some inroads. The car in front is not for position in class. That's one of the TCX cars. By the way, Adams made the pass of Garrett on the previous lap for 5th in TCX and overall, but Barbato turning in laps in the 157s. The drivers around doing laps 158, 159. So he's done a nice job looking after those Pirelli P0s, and with under 5 minutes to go, trying to run down Jeff Rika, the team boss, who is, well, let's see, about 4 seconds up the road, I think. Something to that effect.
A solid day for them.
Yep, this is
Two
Rika
cars
here.
in the top 5. There's the 78 machine. The team leader, Jeff, running in that 4th spot. Not that far back from Pablo. About 3 seconds or so.
Stephen Cugliari has been flying in recent laps too. Just did a 155.2. Compare that to a 56.1 from Catania, who runs second. The problem, though, is it's still a 3.6 second difference between the two, and I speculate that traffic may have played a role in that, but there they are, the two cars in the same shot. That damage to the front of the car, he picked it up early, did Cugliari, but it hasn't slowed him down a whole lot.
But yesterday, like, his car came on really strong middle of the race, then Jacob Ruud just kind of took off for the last 10 minutes or so, and you could see there coming off the turn 11 hairpin, certainly lighting up those rears. So I think they'll be learning a lot. You know, running this car maybe for the first time on a track that has such low grip could be a factor in their performance this weekend.
Well, the pace discrepancy was real, as it turns out. It wasn't just traffic-induced, because you see it happened yet again. 3 straight laps where he's made pretty significant inroads. These last 2 in particular, 1.6 seconds taken off of the advantage in the fight for second. So it's down to 2.8 seconds between the two.
Catania may be in protect mode, just think bring it home, whereas Cugliari's on full attack mode. You can see there as he exited turn 3 using all of the road and a little bit more.
Jacob Ruud untroubled by this drama unfolding, 8.5 seconds behind him. He continues to lead in TCX, looking for a second straight win to start the 2022 campaign. Shades of a year ago.
Yes, very much so. Getting off to a strong start. He's going to be tough to beat, but I think there are going to be occasions, certain racetracks, where field's a little bit deeper this year. It seems like different people other than Cugliari. Certainly Catania's having a strong run here today, holding down that second position. I think these two drivers in particular will give Jacob a run for his money, but he is the man to beat, that is for sure.
Catania, keep in mind, does not have the experience of some of those he's racing. Cugliari doesn't have a ton either, in fairness, in this car and at this level of racing. Jacob Ruud, just 1 full season under his belt. Didn't take him long to master this TCX class. He won on debut, and it was a rare day in which Jacob Ruud did not win. 1 year ago, less than 2 minutes to go, and Ruud takes the white flag. 1 lap to go, 2.5 miles, separating Jacob Ruud from his second win of 2022.
It's going to be tight on the clock, though. If he runs anything close to his fastest lap today, I mean, there may be a second still left on the board, but white flag has been displayed. He's got a little bit of traffic, so we may be good with the timing of this, but it's going to be very tight. Certainly the calculators are out in terms of when to display that 1 lap to go flag.
Well, and he's got the big margin, 9.5 seconds. So if he doesn't want to run an extra lap, he does not have to. He can back it off if that's what's required.
This beautiful drive, just very controlled. Didn't overdrive the car at the beginning, had a bit of pressure, but just has never really looked threatened in a big way this weekend.
Fast Track Racing, the team, the former classic BMW squad that Jacob drove for a year ago. He's still pushing. You saw the opposite lock.
Maybe he's been told, you keep pushing, you can have another lap out there. But I think once that white flag has been displayed, we will see the checkered flag this time by.
Now, it's a team with so much experience and such pedigree at this level of the sport. They're very busy with lots of entries in TC America, GT4 America as well. And this might just be their young star of the future, Jacob Ruud, coming out of turn number 10 one last time towards the hairpin. 13 seconds and counting on the clock for the young man from Racine, Wisconsin. Jacob Ruud around the hairpin. You can break out the brooms. Just 1 corner to go. Jacob Ruud sweeps the weekend at Sonoma Raceway. He picks up his second win in as many starts in 2022.
Dominant. It's going to have the whole field scratching their head about what they can do with the defending class champion. Meanwhile, in TC, Kevin Bone has stretched that gap at the front, controlled this from the get-go. Outside of the front row, got to the lead early in the opening lap and hasn't really looked back other than the odd glance in his mirrors to see what Clay Williams was up to.
Now, Clay Williams threw everything he could at Kevin Bone, but the savvy veteran in his second year of TC competition, the former TCA champ, three-time SCCA runoffs national champion, Kevin Bone, looking to bring home yet another victory. The winner in TCA, Gresham Wagner, across the line. Tech Sport Racing in the win column, but Kevin Bone gets it done from the outside of the front row. He wins race 2 at Sonoma Raceway.
Two gin races coming on the line together. This is a top 5 finish for both.
Rika 4th, Barbado 5th. Is it going to be a photo finish at the line between the two Hyundais? Here comes Rika in the red car. He crosses the line first. Barbado will settle for 5th in an intra-team drag race to the checkered flag.
Strong performance for those guys. I think they're making progress and expect to see them even further up the field before the season ends. Go for podiums already.
A few other battles not completely wrapped up just yet. Coming to the checkered flag, Lamara working on Iglesias, and he's going to make the move around the TCA car. Lamara actually comes home in 8th. Iglesias was further up the road. My apologies. Finishes in 7th. The checkered flag has fallen on all of the TC America competitors. A clean race. Green from the initial start to the checkered flag, and Jacob Rude reigns supreme yet again. Provisional results from round 2 of the TC America powered by the Skip Barber Racing School Championship. Jacob Rude over Lucas Catania, 9.2 seconds. But Catania does have the bragging rights with the CrowdStrike fastest lap of the race. Stephen Cugliari, strong podium finish for him as well. Steve Strymer, Garrett Adams, right behind Colin Garrett and Mark Wilgus rounding out the top 7. Kevin Bohm, Clay Williams, good battle between those two, but Bohm takes home the bragging rights in TC. But a good run for the mini squad after problems for that car yesterday in a stirring drive ultimately to get back up onto the podium, but a much more straightforward race for Clay Williams today. Down to TCA, Gresham Wagner, his maiden win in the TCA Championship for the Tech Sport Racing team. MX5 Cup champion, making the switch over to the Subaru platform, and TC America looking right at home ahead of yesterday's winner, Carter Fartuck, and the up-and-comer third-generation driver, Spencer Bucknam, rounding out the podium in TCA. Great look at Sonoma Raceway in the springtime, covered with green grass. Sunny skies in stark contrast to the way we began the day yesterday with so much rain in this area. And a nice clean race for race 2 of the TC America powered by the Skip Barber Racing School Championship. There is the man of the hour, Jacob Rude, climbing out of his fast track racing BMW. Gets the Pirelli hat, throws up the number 1 sign. He is, yet again, a race winner in TC America, powered by the Skip Barber Racing School. We'll be catching a quick word with all of our class winners, and we'll start right now with Amanda.
Well, Jacob, as you did last year when you kicked off the season, you swept it here in Sonoma, starting your effort to your first championship. And now that you're just continuing to get more and more comfortable with this program, what do you take away from these weekends?
I take away that we've got a great race car. I mean, everybody at Fast Track Racing knows exactly what they're doing. We know we've been here before. We know how to set up the car for this track. And, you know, I think, unfortunately, we've got a little bit of an edge on people having won the season last year. But, you know, I'm looking forward for the competition this year. You know, these guys did a great job to run the race that they did today, and I'm looking forward for the rest of the season.
We were discussing what maybe the future looks for you with this program. When you see yourself down the road, what are you doing?
Guess we'll have to see, won't we? Stuff's in the works, but I guess we'll have to see.
Thank you, Jacob.
Thank you.
A 12th career win in this championship in 16 TCX starts. You can add in 14 TC starts prior to that. That win ratio up over 50% across the board, and it's much closer to 90 when you just factor in TCX. He has been the class of this relatively new class that debuted a year ago.
He has, and that confidence is going to continue to build. So he'll be looking for new challenges. I think he's going to get some before the season is out, even within this class. But the team is working well, as he said. We're on the back of a championship. We learned a lot last year. You're returning to the same venue, so you got a notebook to work from. And you're good. Even though someone may feel we've got to get to that benchmark, he's moving the line a little bit further.
More winners to hear from. Let's do it now with Amanda.
Well, I think Kevin's still trying to catch his breath from the battle he was saying between Clay Williams, and this weekend you get both wins, but it wasn't without battle, without adversity. What do you pull from in yourself to get these wins?
I think it's taking advantage of the few moments you're going to get. I think today, like the lap one, I knew Clay was fast from yesterday, so getting a good start was key. And I really just have to hand it off to all of our partners, CrowdStrike and AWS, for helping me get here. We got our new partnership with Skip Barber that's working incredible. It's just unbelievable. We have Operation Motorsport with us again. It's just all these things combining are just making this program possible, and I think the 2 wins this weekend really just show that.
We were talking about tire management that was needed during this race. At what point do you kind of go change your driving style to manage what's happening on the racetrack?
To just be in a zone when it's time to get behind the wheel.
Great performance from him. And now, in just a few moments, we'll get to hear from a first-time winner, Gresham Wagner. First-time winner here, but he's had plenty of wins before in his career before arriving here. Let's hear from him now with Amanda.
Well, Ryan was just saying you do have quite a resume coming over here, but getting your first win here in SRO America and reflecting on this race, what got the win here today?
I think just staying closer to Carter, especially in the beginning. Yesterday I had a stuck throttle actually on lap 1 and got some separation. And then, the cars are around the same speeds, give or take, but in very different ways. So when he gets that separation, it doesn't let me pressure him in the corners. He could just drive his race. Whereas today, I was sticking my nose in, trying to put him under pressure, get him to use the tires, and take advantage of where my car was strong. So once I got in front and, got a little bit of a gap, I knew, as long as I held it on the straights, I could get a cushion and just put down consistent laps and build a gap.
Congratulations, Gresham.
Thank you.
The first of what I suspect will be many race wins for this young man in TC America this year. CrowdStrike fastest lap, as mentioned, went to this car. Lucas Catania finished second, but had some pace. That's something he can take in his back pocket moving forward.
Yeah, that'll be a confidence builder. Nice podium run and fast race car. But they're all got to kind of figure out that puzzle of how do we beat Jacob Ruud. Another dominant weekend.
Highlights from race 2 of the weekend. Jacob Ruud from pole, able to get off to a nice solid start, but right behind, this was where the damage came from that we talked about throughout the race.
Big commitment there up into turn 2 and gets it a little bit wrong on relatively cold tires. Lots of moments early in the going. This is Lamara coming off the turn 9 chicane.
He was able to bounce back from that, though. It looked like a glancing blow. That was the good news. Gresham Wagner had taken the lead for a few corners, and then this.
I know, and then you thought, well, he's opened up the door for Carter to get the victory, but it wasn't to be.
Great battles here deeper in the TCX field with the damaged race car. Still great pace from Cugliari. The move, though, for the TCA win. Wagner up the inside.
Yeah, he had to make up a lot of ground, got back to the tail of that Skip Barber Racing Civic and gets the win.
A sweep of the weekend for Jacob Ruud in Fast Track Racing. Kevin Bohm, the winner in TC. Gresham Wagner picked up the victory in TCA. Looking forward to the next round. We'll see you in VIR.